It's all used by like industry professionals versus like the everyday common user.
But I honestly think, and didn't I say this the other day? I think I said it to you. As fishermen and fly fishing videos, I think we kind of slacked way behind in doing YouTube channels and being more engaged with the clients, just general stuff. Because I mean, I think we all receive tons of emails and messages a day asking about small things, what fly line to use there, what this to use there, and there's not been a lot of people that have been actively doing that kind of education, which is still key. There are companies doing it now. Orvis is doing some really good ones.
So they're doing some really good stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think SA is kind of coming out with some instructional videos.
So let's start this conversation there after I give you guys a quick introduction here. Welcome back to the Big Bass Dreams podcast with Oliver and I here, your host. I want to welcome back my guests. This is episode either 6, 7, or 8. I don't know. Pay attention to whatever the description says. All right. But we are back here, and eventually we're going to discuss the main topic here, which is the big bait, stick line, heavy weights in regards to fly fishing and conventional fishing. But quickly introduce yourselves, and if you guys want to deep dive into more of who these guys are, watch the previous episode. We're going to leave that in the link right here and in the description below.
I'm Conway Bowman. I live in San Diego, California. I fly fish for mako sharks, and I've traveled the world fly fishing, and I'm also the wetlands manager for the Lake Hodges watershed in San Diego.
I'm Jako from South Africa, live in Austin, Texas, and been guiding and fishing around the world, Seychelles, Norway, Mongolia. Crazier it gets, the better it gets.
Two badasses. Let's just sum it up here, okay? And what were we talking about right now? I already forgot.
Just about education on
education,
lines and
right.
stuff and videos.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the trap, right? Because we are consistently surrounding ourselves with the top 1%, whether it's in our own field or whether it's across different genres and spaces at events like this Yeti Summit that we're at. And we kind of become disillusioned, I feel, because this is what I experience, right? I'm used to conversing with the other fellow top 1%ers, and there's a disconnect between like those top guys and younger versions of ourselves, and where we started. So like that's been kind of my focus lately, is how can I engage with a younger version of myself that doesn't have this experience level, this ash pile, previous episode for that reference, and really help bridge that gap, right, and shorten that learning curve, because we've experienced so much, we've put in so much time and sacrifice into our crafts that we are way above the understanding level of like when we first came into conventional fishing, fly fishing, whatever it have be. So that I think that's going to be a really big focus here on my platform, the Big Bass Dreams platform as a whole, and it's exciting because I do see new energy and new participation in the sport, and it comes from various genres and age ranges, right? It's not only kids anymore. It's not a family introduced activity anymore. People are becoming aware of it because of social media, because of the dope films that they see. And I actually want to argue with you a little bit, because I feel like Fly has really elevated the production level of fishing films. They didn't really keep up with the frequency.
Yeah.
But like the few things that I've seen come from Fly over the years, it's like, damn, those guys really captured that essence and that moment and that passion. And it's really actually invigorated me to try to do something similar from whatever space I'm trying to show.
Yeah, and Yako's done. I mean, your films are insane, and they've really inspired a next generation of anglers to sort of, get out and explore, whether it's in their own backyard or whether it's saving every dime they have to go travel to Mongolia. But to get out of that sort of that space, that square space they're in, and push the limits. I mean, in fact, tonight in San Diego, they're showing the film tours there. And do you have a film in it this year?
It's a film tour opener just on like the 5 crazy locations that I guided last year. So it's just basically a stoke reel to get the crowd going. So it's about Arapaima.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And these kids, these young kids, are going, holy shit! Look at this. We can do that on a fly rod.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the inspiration for the next generation. In addition to, like you were talking about earlier, YouTube, the learning, the things that the younger generation can learn just from YouTube, watching how to rig or all that stuff that I never had.
Yeah.
I was sort of reading books and trying to tie knots and stuff.
Because we do now get numb to it. I kind of feel like a knot's a knot, but there's a lot of people that really want to know. I still get clients
Imagine
when
how
I'm
many
guiding
times you
them.
actually practice that knot at home,
shit.
right?
Yeah, and now
Infinity twist, a million freaking times.
Exactly.
Getting it wrong.
Right.
A lot of the times. But I mean, there's people that still really want to know that stuff, and we can't take it for granted. We have to.
Right.
Like even clients now, even if it's a client that's 70 years old, he'll ask me, okay, so what knot are you using for this? And I don't always have names, but I try and show them and really educate.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think through the guiding, we definitely, whether or not we catch good fish, if there's a lot of fish when you're guiding, you can look like a superstar all day long. But if you can make your fisherman a better fisherman when he leaves and happy, then you've done your job anyway too.
That's the true test of a good guide, is that you got 8-12 hours on the boat and fishing slow. That's the opportunity to say, okay, let's learn some knots. Let's talk about the conditions. Let's talk about your equipment. Anyway,
Action. Okay, back in it.
So those are great learning opportunities that a guide can sort of pass on his or her knowledge to that client. While you're waiting for this fish to show up.
Yeah. But the videos is now just such a quick access.
Oh
I mean,
my God.
if I edit a video, and I'm still super amateur with that stuff, if I want to try and figure out how to do a cool transition or something, I go to YouTube. I find that stuff there,
exactly,
and we shouldn't
That's right.
avoid putting. I honestly need to be stronger on that stuff, and I'd love to put out more stuff. But now, like you said, you're looking on the watch. People don't realize how much hard work you're putting in the background to get this stuff done.
That's right. Yeah.
They don't see
They
the
see
ash pile.
giant. Yeah, they don't see that ash pile at the moment. It's like we're
For
heaping
sure.
it up in the back.
So do you think, both of you, do you think that it's there's a thirst for knowledge from your clientele? They want to see.
Oh, absolutely.
They want to see how you're throwing that swim bait. They want to see how you're
Absolutely.
tying that knot for the giant GTs.
Always.
Absolutely.
What leaders are we using? What specific? Everything. It's always a endless amount of questions.
It comes back to the term that knowledge is power.
Yeah.
It's a real thing, right? Because that knowledge that you worked so hard for took X amount of time to accrue. And as I get older and as I deal with real life issues like mortality and people dying and realizing that life is short as F, man. Like, it's short.
Go
right?
fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my time and my experiences have become the 2 top priorities in my life and the way I live it.
Yeah.
Those are my 2 most valuable commodities, right? So if somebody wants to circumvent some of that, like the knowledge that I've accrued is highly valuable.
Yeah.
And that's why I attract a very certain clientele that wants to come on my Big Bass Rooms personal training sessions. And I'm very careful about who I allow on the Dream Machine. Because it's got to be the right person with the right mindset. And man, I got enough of those rad people, both women and men, young and old, whatever background, doesn't matter. Hungry for the knowledge and humble, right? Open-minded, no preconceived notions, and they want to succeed. Those are the
Just
people
like all your fly fishing clients.
Oh my goodness. I can't even imagine, man. I hear horror stories, bro.
I just had to say that.
Some of you people
That's a horror story.
My clients too, by the
abuse
way.
these guys.
They're all good.
Yeah.
They're very
Expectations.
nice now.
Man,
Like, who do you guys think you are, man?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I know me and my clients watch YouTube even.
Yeah, but
So it's all about managing expectations. That's why that was such a perfect opportunity to say that, because sometimes clients, as you know, they have expectations, and I always tell people when I talk to them on the phone before I guide, it's like, okay, so manage your expectations. Don't think you're going to go out and catch the biggest fish of your life, whatever it is, because we're hunting for these fish, it's going to be a long day.
And it's tough because, I've kind of put myself out there as a big fish catcher.
Right.
right? So when someone wants to come learn from me, obviously the end goal is to catch the biggest fish
That's
of their
right.
life. There's no pressure in that, right, guys? Like,
Yeah.
so, but I have to be realistic and break it down to them and let them know what the reality is.
Yeah, right.
Like, guys, like, this is not easy.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for some kind of money back guarantee or some kind of level of fish catching, I'm not your dude. But if you want to come in and come away from the experience with real live perspective and a foundation that you can take and build upon on your own after the fact, I'm definitely your dude.
Yeah.
And that's why I take a lot of pride in people that believe in what we've done with Big Bass Streams. And you see a lot of my clients, man, you look at the hashtag BBD personal training and you follow the people that have booked trips with me, regardless of whether they've caught fish or not. And I'm thankful that we've had a really good success rate, but that goes back to the mindset and bringing the right people on, right? Those anglers have become such badasses on their own right.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
With just a little bit of my insight.
That's right.
And they're able to take that and mold it into their own style with their own experiences.
That's right. It's one of the greatest honors to take a client and have them work through a situation and then achieve a goal and then carry on that, that knowledge years down the road. And a quick story, I had a guy came out from Vermont years ago. Biggest fish he ever caught was like a 6-inch brook trout. He's on my boat. We're fishing Mako sharks.
Oh my
He said,
gosh.
hey, and he said he was out in San Diego on a conference, and he said, hey, Captain, how big are the fish we're going to get? You think we're going to get today? I said, well, we can get Makos anywhere from 40 to 300 pounds. He's like, oh, geez. He goes, I don't know if I could do a 40-pound fish. I'm like, okay. and at that point, I said, what's the biggest fish you ever caught? He said, well, like a 6 or 10-inch brook trout. I'm like, oh my gosh. So the first Mako that shows up is like 300 pounds.
A big one.
And
that's
he's
above
like,
average.
So he looked at it and went, I can't do that. And he sat on the bow of the boat. I mean, like looking at me like, oh my God. I'm like, wait. I go, are you sure? He goes, I can't cast that fish. I'm like, okay. I said, well, let's just hang out. Maybe a smaller one will show up. Well, like 30 minutes later, like a 60-pounder showed up. And he looked at it. Actually, I saw it first. And I said, here's your next opportunity. He looks over the rail. And he's like, oh, I think I can do that. So we hooked this fish. He gets it to the boat. He does everything perfectly. Makes a good cast, hooks it, jumps, whatever. He's like, oh my God. We get it to the boat. He's like, that was the most amazing thing that has ever happened in my life. Oh my God.
So
I got a
sick.
fish. And I'm like, and he's sitting, and the guy was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And so we waited another couple of hours. Nothing showed up. And then guess who showed up right at the end of the day? That 300-pounder showed back up. And I'm like, hey, here's your opportunity. He looks over. He's like, oh my God. I go, that's the same one that showed up early in the morning. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. He goes, you think I can do it? I said, absolutely. So he makes the cast, hooks the fish. Great take, going away take. The fish runs, jumps right in front of the boat and jumps a bunch of times. I chase it down. We get it to the boat. We release it. And it was a big
Dude,
Mako.
that's a big animal.
And so I released this, and the guy was sitting on the bow of the boat. I swear to God, he had tears coming out of his eyes. He goes, that was the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. I'm like,
Amen.
and I took his hands like this. I go, you did a great job. That was awesome. He's like, wow. That guy became one of the greatest tarpon anglers in the Florida Keys going forward. So he went from a small brook trout to a Mako to fishing those tournaments and kicking ass and dominating those tournaments for many, many years.
Hey man, cheers to
awesome.
Conway Bowman.
So
cheers to your clients.
So that is what you're talking about.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can change that person's life
Mm-hmm.
and put them on a course to success by whether it's a bass,
That's right.
a GT, whatever. I mean, and I still get a Christmas card from that guy every year.
That's
Thank
so
you so
dope.
much for. It's something like thank you so much for directing me on this great journey in saltwater fly.
And that's what
I'm
people don't see, like
That's
even in my world,
Yeah.
because I get so much positive energy. And unfortunately, going back to the last podcast, people still try to throw dirt at me, but what they don't realize is like, dude, that's inconsequential to me because I've impacted enough of those people
Exactly.
to be like, dude, I don't care. Look at me, I'm at the Yeti Summit. What are you guys doing?
Exactly.
Like, and it's all about that positive vibe and
Yeah.
contributing back to the universe with
Yeah.
that real energy, and it comes back. Man, it is so rewarding to help somebody else overcome, like, self-esteem and confidence issues.
And you're building that confidence.
You create a badass.
Yeah. I mean, so it was that one fish that changed that person's life.
And that, I mean, that's
And
the fortunate
I'm sure
job.
you've been through that.
Exactly, and that's the amazing part of our job is it's one of the most rewarding jobs I think on the planet.
It
Just
is.
if you change that life like that.
Yeah.
But in saying what you said earlier about somebody coming on your boat, now you've built up the reputation for big makos, for big bass, and the client comes into your boat expecting this big thing. I had a client said to me, if I give you $1 million now, will you be able to get me a 50-inch time? And I said to him, dude, the first day I started guiding for world record fish. I try and put clients on world record fish every day of my life. I'm not putting you in any special position that I didn't put the guy the day before. Yeah. I want you to succeed. That's why I'm here. Right. Some guys just don't get it. You can't buy fish.
Oh, exactly. And that's funny. I've had guys offer me a lot of dough to kill a mako shark for the record books, and I will never do that. I will never kill a mako for the IGFA. I will not do it. Yeah. I had a guy offer me a pile of dough. And I'm like, nope, not going to do it. Well, and it was almost like he's like, well, I'm offering you this much money. I'm like, nope, not going to do it. Well, nope, not going to do it. And we went on and on. I mean, and then it got to the point where, he wanted it so badly. He was going to build this tank to put the mako in. And it was nuts just to get in the record books. And I'm like, your focus is totally wrong.
It comes back to doing what we do for the right reasons.
Yeah.
What was his end goal? He wanted to
his end goal was to get into a book, and so he can go, hey, I'm an IGFA record, and that's fine. I'm not saying it's wrong, but for me as a guy, I will never. That's not my thing. Totally. So go find somebody else to do it.
Yeah.
Because that's getting in the record books is not. For me, it's not the thing. It's about that experience, that one-on-one with the client, that you can hold that great experience and share that many, many years down the road. We've all fished with clients for many, many years, and after you fish with them for 10 years, you're sitting on the boat waiting for that fish to come in, and now we're talking mako sharks, right? And now we're reminiscing about all the great makos that we've caught, and then all of a sudden another one comes in, the guy hooks it, jumps it, we release it, and there's another one. And we've had this great relationship for 10 years. Yeah. So, and that's what it's about for me.
Gotcha.
I don't, it ain't about the record.
I think that's a result of the evolution of our culture as well, too, right? Because you go back 10, 15, 20, 30 years, it was all print publications. Yeah. It was all record driven. Because that's the only way you can kind of break through that filter of the editors, this, that, and the third. Well, now we have such a plethora of technology that allows us to capture these moments and really bring a whole new level of experience that is oftentimes way more rewarding than what those guys may have experienced 10, 15, 20 years ago as being a record holder.
Yeah, I think and again, when we're fishing ourselves and not guiding, I think that whatever size of fish we catch, I think I am my own biggest challenge. I want to challenge myself. So if I end up catching a fish that's bigger than any other fish, then awesome. I'm not going to IGFA it, but it's a good thing for me. I've reached my goal that I wanted to as an angler. It's not for anybody else. There's nothing it's special for me. But I think sometimes I don't think we want to go down the IGFA whole thing, but that's never been my bag. Right. I feel that there's the wrong reasons on doing
those one-on-one personal interactions and experiences are so much more fulfilling to me than any notoriety from any mass of strangers.
Right. Yeah. Because their word of mouth is going to be way more validation than a record book. To the clients that I want to appeal to. Agreed. I mean, the people that are reading the record books, they're great people, but they're not the ones I want on my boat. I want that guy or gal to go out and say, I had a great time on the boat. And we Conway talked about conservation. We released the shark. It was just a great day. Yeah. And so that's the expectation that I want on the boat. So I mean it's
we still like to catch big fish, but within our capacity, whatever we like to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And another point I want to make to my audience, especially because once again I'm talking to a younger version of myself. I grew up in La Puente, California, a very below average median income community. My mom is still broke. She just called me tonight because hit by some dude with no insurance,
Ah.
right? Because she still lives in the hood, and like these are real world problems, right? And man, if you asked me if I ever would get to fish beyond Lake Paris or Lake Castaic, or on the very special trip that I get to go to San Diego and get some freaking attitude from the locals.
Some crappie.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have believed you, because that seems so far out of reach for me.
Yeah.
Let alone going into Texas, impacting the culture there,
Yeah.
and from there going into trophy northern smallmouth waters, and then exploring muskies, and then finally jumping across borders and fishing Murray cod and barramundi and things that a younger version of myself would have seen or deemed like, dude, that's out of my league.
Exactly. I hate when people have that.
Because I'm sure
attitude.
people look at what you do now and don't look at your past ash pile that you took to get there and be like, oh, this fool is a rich South African, he's whatever, this, that, and the third. Because I'm a trust fund baby. My dad, who I've never met, pays for everything that I do. There's always an excuse, right?
Yeah.
But what you guys really need to see is that you can come from very meager and humble beginnings.
Right.
And if you work hard enough and become good enough to leverage yourself into a position over a long span of time, because that's the reality, it's going to take time for you to get good at anything. Barbecue, rodeo, hunting, fly fishing, conventional fishing, it takes time, because experience is the best teacher. That you can do anything, like go catch 55-inch taimen, you said?
Yeah.
In Arapaima? Dude, that's...
The biggest Arapaima that I got was just short of 8 foot.
Oh my
I hate
God.
you.
But, so, sorry, let's give... So, to give you an idea, just about what you talk about, the hard work. So, this is a great example. So, people see like some of the GTs and stuff that I've caught. They didn't realize that the only way that I managed to get to the Seychelles, I couldn't afford it. I worked with the company, started guiding in the Seychelles. I guided the Seychelles for 4 years before I picked up my first fly rod there. Looking at guys, guiding guys into fish I'd never caught before, grinding, scrubbing boats until I got that moment to cast at a fish.
Yeah.
4 years down the line.
Wow.
Yeah.
What the hell are the Seychelles? Like, I'm pretty geographically, learnt, but I don't even know where that is.
It's north of Madagascar, and it's on the
So
east coast of Africa.
Indian Ocean.
Yeah.
Wow.
Indian Ocean, yeah.
Wild.
It's
Very
crazy.
cool.
It's a long way away.
It's a long way away. Now that I live in the US, it's a long way. It used to be just South Africa, 5-hour
But
flight.
from your perspective, it wasn't that far.
Yeah.
But it's funny. People have this perception that we're trust fund babies, or we're we have a lot of money. Jesus, I've worked since I've been 12 years old. And I busted my ass. I got through school. And I remember when I was when I first started targeting sharks, Mako sharks, I had a 14-foot aluminum boat with a 25-horse tiller control engine on it, and I would go like 15 miles off the coast looking for Makos, and I didn't have shit. And so I saved and scrimped my money to get a down payment for a more formal boat, a proper boat, and I remember I bought it. I think I was 19. My dad, he's like, so Conway, how you gonna pay for that boat? I'm like, I don't know, Dad. He's like, well, you might want to consider just. No, I think he said, you ever considered guiding? I'm like, no. He said, I think you'd be good at it. So he inspired me to start guiding just to pay for the boat. I mean, I kind of had the fishery kind of wired at that point.
Interesting.
So I went out,
That's
captain's license. I went through the Maritime Academy, all this stuff, and then I had the means to start paying for that boat, and then I started building up a clientele, and it was it took a long time to do that, but I was never given shit.
Yeah.
I mean, I busted my balls. I mean, going to school, working for the city as a junior biologist, and doing all this shit. I was never out hanging out with my buddies, drinking beer. I was always working.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was 16, my dad knocked on my bedroom door one morning. Get up. I'm like, what? He's like, get up. And it's like June 1st. School just got. I've been out of school for 3 weeks. Out of high school.
Okay.
No, not out of high school. I was in my junior year, going into my senior year, and I just got my driver's license. And I'm like, what? He's like, you're going to get a job today. I'm like, what? So he marched my ass down to the city of San Diego's like recreation department, and they had a junior biologist position there. And he said, you're gonna apply for that job. I'm like, well, I was gonna hang out with my buddies this summer and like surf and all. And he's like, nope, you're not. And so I filled out the application, and I got hired.
Wow.
And so from that moment on, I have worked every fucking day of my life.
Dude.
And, I mean, I've had some leisure time, but I've always had like a laser focus on work, responsibility,
and forward progression.
Exactly, and that has really bled over into my guiding career as well. That you have to be high and tight. You have to run things a certain way. You have to be on time. So those early lessons, my dad sort of. So anyway,
I want to raise a toast to your dad because he's way cooler than mine.
And my dad's 93, by the way, and he's still alive. And
Dude, that's
and he
awesome.
still busts my balls.
That's
but we
what's
love
up.
him.
Yeah.
That's great, man. And man, that just gives me so much hope.
Yeah, but
because I don't know if that happens anymore.
Well, we talk about trust safari. People assume we're trust safaris. There are quite a few people that actually get a handout and they go out.
And there's nothing, dude. We're not throwing shade at those people.
No, definitely
really
not.
But I think that if you come from a hard working class sort of perspective, you're a little bit more kind of, your edges are a little bit more, a little more refined.
Absolutely.
You kind of know what it takes to do it.
My mom was a teacher and my dad was a bomb instructor in the police force, so
working
there's
class.
working class in South
my mom
Africa.
was an accountant. My dad was a deadbeat. So hey. Yeah.
You just earn it. You learn it.
And the ultimate lesson is there's no excuse.
Yeah. Nope.
No excuse. Because from where I started to where I am today seems
it's an amazing story. It really is. Yeah.
So wild to even me.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a reminder to me, like, dude, you should never be upset. You should never be frustrated because you get to do some wild stuff.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, and be able to share that now with others has been so empowering.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Fishing really is a very special activity, man. And I really just want the community to focus on that.
Yeah.
Because there's enough BS going on.
Yeah, just focus on fishing is fun.
Yeah.
It's the most simple form of recreation that is really fun. A line on the end of a rod with a bobber and a worm, and you catch fish.
So primal, right?
It's great. Yeah.
And it's interesting because now I've got people in my circle that look at what I do, and all of a sudden, my entire life of them knowing them, no interest in fishing, and be like, "Hey, man, what you do looks like fun.
Yeah.
You make it look like fun." I'm like, "What do you mean I make it look like fun? It is fun. Like, think of all the other things you do with me. Do you really think I'm just like a bore and I just want to be out there just like, oh gosh, what am I doing out here?" It's an amazing activity, and there's now new interest even within my own circle.
That's great.
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to cultivate that within even my immediate social circle, right? 1 and 2, steps removed, and it's been really cool to see that on a grander scale because of the fact that we have bigger platforms now.
Yeah.
And I come home from being on the road for 10 months out of the year, and I spend time in my local tackle shop. So shout out to Performance Tackle in Los Alamitos, and see people from all backgrounds coming in looking for that basic information, right? And it's key that you guys as an audience are paying attention to where your information is coming from, because now that there's no filter and everybody has access to a platform, how do you know
what's the right stuff?
What's worth ingesting or not?
Right.
Because it comes back to being time as my most valuable commodity. I don't have time to watch everybody's stuff.
Right.
So my biggest piece of advice is to look at somebody's body of work, i.e. these guys in their Instagram or their podcast or their YouTube, whatever, and reference their body of work and really see what that context represents, because that really determines whether or not you should be wasting your time or investing your time for a return. Because I see like we're kind of in a dangerous path and a slippery slope now in the way that the fishing realm is being made available to the masses and digest it on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Because I look back and think like, man, as a young, passionate angler, like there were thresholds and filters put in place, right? You had to be a respected guide or a professional athlete, and I don't think the professional fisherman, I don't care what tour it is you fish, Bassmaster Elite, FLW, MLF, local regional tournaments, like the context of those guys putting so much on the line to perform at their best, or a trophy angler putting everything that they can into catching the hardest to catch fish. Like that context has been lost.
Yeah.
Now it's just like attention. Look at me, I'm gonna catch a bass on a piece of lettuce in a private pond where they'll literally eat anything. It's like, what? Like, how is that going to impact you as a fisherman when you're, potentially pressured water at home? Like, can you duplicate that? I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it. Like, does that happen in fly fishing? Are there kind of like frauds? Because like there are frauds in conventional, left and right.
Somebody asked me that actually the other day. There was a guy doing I think he was doing a big write-up for his bachelor's degree or whatever degree, and he asked me a bunch of questions about social media. And it's very difficult to start getting heavily vocal about it because it's a fine line, because everything goes on social media now. But I think what I said to him, look, honestly, I can't say this. I always want to see the best in somebody first off. I don't want to assume that they're a horrible person. So I give them the benefit of the doubt that they're a good person. But if you follow somebody long enough on social media, especially, there's certain hints that'll show you whether or not they're a fraud or not. Like, people are legit. It comes through, and like we said, being humble and just doing your thing and being honest and open and really be yourself and original. That all the other stuff fades away.
Yeah. And here's another message for you guys that have kind of like been tempted by the dark side and have gone down that path for the sake of growing your platforms, at the risk of losing the respect of potential individuals that actually, have worked really hard at what they do. It's not too late, man. You can go back the other way.
Yeah.
And actually go back to the fundamentals of why we all started this and being true to the sport and contributing to the culture in a positive fashion.
Yeah.
Like, it's never too late for that. Right? We're people. We all continue to evolve and grow. And man, there's just so much hope out there. And from my perspective, that like hopefully we can kind of shift that towards a positive.
Yeah.
Because the funny thing is sorry to chip in a little bit there, but like in the fly fishing now, I'm also seeing social media pages and people like hating a lot more on other people and like really doing ugly stuff that they think's funny, but a joke's only funny. I mean, the person that's on the end of the joke doesn't think it's funny, so it's not nice to make fun of anybody. I mean, some of the stuff people do are stupid, but let them be, whatever.
Yeah.
But what I see is that we've created a big enough industry where we've actually have haters, so that's a positive thing. That's a good thing.
True.
But yeah, it's like I said, all those other social media just pages will fade away. Sorry, what were you mentioning just before that? I just wanted to make a point on that. Wasn't seeing frauds in the industry. That was the one before. Sorry, I kind of ventured off that point.
I was talking about context, right, and being
authentic? No, was it authentic?
aware of just where your info is coming from.
Yeah, I think I was going to make a specific point, but anyway, said just stay humble and just do your thing.
Yeah.
Do it good.
Just be authentic and don't try to be something you're not. I mean, just post very true stuff.
Right.
And I think that everything now is sort of, everybody needs validation in their life, whatever
Totally,
it is.
man.
Whether it's
Like,
fishing or
absolutely. That's human nature.
Yeah, it is, and that's the downside of social media. But if you can validate yourself without having other people try to validate you, and that what you're doing is correct and true, that's the only validation you need.
Really, that's why I don't like the self-appointed titles, right? And that's as a basketball fan, I had a problem with LeBron James for much of his career.
Oh,
the
interesting.
self-appointed king.
Yeah, see,
Like,
that's
hold on, bro. Like, come on, who are you? Like,
that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and I see that even in fishing now.
Well, no, yeah, because people really become that world's tallest midget. I mean, they really do. So, and honestly, if people think about that, you know, if they use that phrase, "I'm the world's tallest midget," it really puts everything in perspective. Because, to be honest with you, you're really
nobody cares.
Nobody gives a
dude.
shit.
Exactly.
So
Nobody cares.
keep that phrase in your head. That'll keep you humble. Be authentic with what you're presenting. Don't think that you're more important than anybody else, because nobody really gives a rat's ass.
And
you know?
and if you grow enough, that's kind of the point that I want to make. Is if you grow enough in that and you're legit and you have people that you can help in the whole thing, and you see some bad comments come through and people, that's what I meant by these pages, is that you'll only be judged by people like I heard something very cool the other day. You'll only be judged by people that aren't accomplishing as much as you.
Right.
If we all admire each other here because everybody in this group accomplishes amazing stuff and we look up at each other. If
Your body of work speaks for itself.
Yeah.
It
If
really
I
does.
was going to talk shit about you, that means I'm intimidated and I don't admire the giant fish that you've caught or the accomplishments.
That's the
you've
funny
made.
thing, right? When I read a comment, it's like, oh, dude, you're threatened by me.
Yeah,
That's cute.
exactly. So
That's
you
so
just want to
cute.
brush that off. And
Yeah.
Just don't read them. Whatever. You know, I don't know.
I read them.
I don't even read. I mean, I just I just post a picture and I forget about it. My wife kind of, you know, she's the one who kind of looks at that stuff. I'm like, whatever. But social media is such an important part of our lives, which whether you like it or whether we like it.
It's
or
part
not.
of it.
It's honestly
You should
given.
use it positively.
It's changed my life for the
Yeah.
positive.
Yes.
Like it really has.
It,
It's
no, it
wild.
is, yeah.
There's people that hate it in the fly fishing industry. There's people that hate social media because they thought that fly fishing didn't make it legit. I've made a lot of friendship
And
a lot of good people through social media that you end up going to a trade show. You're like, hell, I feel like I know you, but I haven't
Exactly.
spoken.
You know what it's like?
You in my
it's
life.
great.
It's like the people that complain about school. School sucks, and I hate my teachers, and I'm wasting my time, and it's all comes back to perspective. Because honestly, for me, through most of my academic career, like school was easy, and it was a chance for me to shine, because nobody else wanted to put in a little bit of work,
Right.
you know, to actually make it worth their while.
That's right.
And it's really there for you to interpret however you want to.
Yep.
So if you want to look at it with a positive attitude and make the most out of it and excel past the mass majority that's just going to be too lazy to put in the work to reap the benefits, it's the same thing in fishing.
Yep. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Put in the work, the hard
And
work.
social media, right? Like people get frustrated because they can't break through because they're trying this, that, and a third when they just don't realize, like, man, if you just be yourself and become a better version of yourself to the point where, like, you're commanding the audience and the respect of that audience.
And don't measure yourself up against
others.
Instagram's yardstick. Just be yourself. Don't concern yourself with, oh my gosh, that person has X amount of followers, and oh my gosh. No.
Don't be the gullible girls that I hang out with that are impressed by 66,000 followers, because it's not a, like, it doesn't really matter.
The only yardstick is you, because that's what really counts.
Seriously.
Yeah. Because if you're chasing something else, you're gonna get driven. It's gonna drive you
Can't
crazy.
chase fish for the
Exactly. Yeah.
That's then you're losing a plot. Are we going down a wormhole here?
We're already down a different wormhole. We haven't even talked. We haven't even touched on that.
Oh my gosh.
This is like episode number whatever already. We've got a whole nother podcast here. Leave a comment below. Like, what do you guys think? Like, are you guys enjoying these, like, tangents that we're going off on? Because these are real conversations that I feel a lot of people avoid.
They do.
Yeah, it doesn't get brought up a lot.
They do.
I mean,
right?
People tiptoe around it, but
Because
they like to complain about it in the background.
Totally. And how many people reach out to you guys and want to be you and do things similar in that space, right?
But I think it's great because we have you who you're not in the fly fishing community, so we can sort of, you know what I mean? Like if we're sitting
be a little bit more open.
Yeah, if we were sitting around a table with a bunch of fly anglers, I mean, I'd be a little bit more sort of, I'd be more coy about what I'm saying. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But with you here, it's great because your audience is an audience that I really think that, we need to reach.
Alaskans.
Hey,
He's actually from
still
Kansas.
It's a bear.
But no, I think it's great. I think it's really good because these things definitely need to be talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's incredible learning experiences, especially for anybody that has aspirations of chasing their passion and actually monetizing it to a point where they can leverage out of the rat race.
Yeah.
That's a hard thing to do, man. It sounds great on paper, but the reality of it is very tough. And the reality is very few of you guys will make it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, that's just the reality of it. Like, it's just, you talk about anybody at the top of their game, like, they represent a very small population out of the entire, like who, I wish I could be an NBA basketball player. But, like, dude,
but you are in your own space. So, I mean, you are an NBA basketball player.
Thanks.
But the thing is, and I always tell people, in life you'll have signposts that pop up, and you have an option to take the direction of that sign or not, and so be aware of those, because you'll have choices, left and right turns in your life that are going to take you down a path this way or that way. And so whatever your passion is, whether it's fishing, whether it's whatever.
Whether it's barbecue, rodeo, all these things are represented here at the
you
summit.
will see it, but just
there's parallels in all of it.
Take the opportunity, and we've all been very fortunate to have people come into our lives that have actually elevated our careers, and never forget.
So
that.
shout out to those people, because
never ever forget
I've tried
that.
to help people
Don't do
under
it.
me get to this point.
Yeah.
And man, the lack of appreciation is
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Don't ever
Yeah.
forget the people that have helped you, no matter what you're doing in life, because
That's very important. That's a funny thing, and then you'll also have a lot of people like asking, how can I be in the, how can I make a living in this industry? And I said, like, I still try and figure that out every day.
We're still
it's a
trying to
hustle.
figure. I'm still trying to figure it out.
I don't know what it's a forever hustle.
it is.
Yeah.
It's only
And
like
so when somebody asks me that, I'll say, I'll do something for you right now. I'll introduce you to that person, and then you take it from there. I that's all I can do.
Yeah.
I can't call some executive at some company or some network to get you on TV or to get you, some endorsement deal. But I will march you over to this person. I will introduce you, and then it's up to you at that.
Here's a real lesson, right? All of my strongest brand relationships all come down to a level of personal relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't burn bridges. Be a decent human being, and hopefully that shines through
That's
to
right.
the people that matter. Because how did you become a Yeti ambassador?
My God, I don't even know, to be honest with you. I think just through a series of meeting people in the industry. I think that I did a couple of TV shows. They were a sponsor of that show, or both shows, and then I just met. I can't even remember who I met, and then it just.
But it came down to you meeting
Oh
the right
yeah,
person.
and then it was a personal relationship, I'm sure, and then it just kind of built up. I don't know. It's just one of those things.
For
Yeah,
you,
I
Jako?
mean, I don't think they know until there was in 2012. I guided for 320 days of the year
My
in
God.
all sorts of places, and there was a video done on it, and it was in a film tour, and they saw it, and then I went to a trade show. But the key here is I went to those trade shows on my own dime from South Africa, flew 50 hours to get to a show for 3 days and fly back to go and meet some people. And that's where I met them, and they said, "Oh, you Jako Lucas? Yeah, cool. We saw you that movie, blah, blah, blah. Would you like to be on the team?" But I never asked for anything. I really wanted to build that relationship. And I still get people, I'm sorry, there's a bunch of dudes emailing me every week on how to hook up with all the sponsors that I'm with.
Yeah.
And what I say to you, pack your bags, go to the trade shows and meet them in person, because you're not going to build a relationship.
You
on email.
build a relationship, shake the hands, and I mean, it takes a long time.
Absolutely.
And because companies want to know that they want to have the trust in you that you're going to hang around with them. You're not just one and done and you're out and going to the next sponsor.
No.
There's so much of that.
So it's all
Don't
about
be a brain
relationships.
helper.
That's
It
how
really
it
is.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fortunate that while I was in Austin, the head marketing manager was just scrolling through his Instagram. Thank you, social media.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, what the hell? That looks like Town Lake. That looks like downtown Austin. Holy crap, that's a big bass.
Yeah.
These are the words from his mouth. Okay, I'm paraphrasing. And he's like, oh, like this, who is this dude? Like, he's doing this right here in our backyard of Austin.
They didn't know about it.
So they reached out to me. So what I tell these guys coming up is like, you need to work on your craft, because that's all I was focused on.
Yeah.
Right, is catching the biggest bass as I could, and that will draw the attention of the right people, and they'll come to you.
Yeah.
And the people that reach out to you are the ones you want to work with. Trust me,
Right.
Yeah.
because you have to keep selling yourself, and I deal with this even now. Those relationships where I have to keep validating myself, I'm out.
Yeah. It's a lot of hard work.
It is, and there's no return on investment. You want to work with people that want to work with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. The only way that you're going to get there is by getting better, and getting better, and getting better. That's the real secret.
Yeah.
And they're not looking at numbers and how you're performing. They're just they know that what you do is unique, you're important, you validate the brand. Go ahead and do what you do.
And a lot of these ambassadors, I mean, again, through these weekends and through previous ambassadors, especially the Yeti events, is the guys represent themselves well.
Yeah.
Like, they're not like, I mean...
It's not like they're here talking about jerking off wild boars or anything, right?
All sorts of innocent stuff. But I mean, the guys are like going like crazy and going streaking down the hall. It all sounds like fun, but
there's
the guys
a level
are very
of professionalism.
No, there's a very professional level.
Because we're having adult beverages.
Yeah.
Well, not all of us. Two out of three.
I'm not sloppy drunk.
Yeah, but that's the thing.
It's business. But it's important to us.
Yeah.
You're your own brand.
Yeah.
You're your own brand.
Yeah.
I'm my own brand.
Yeah.
And always be cognizant of that, and be aware of that, and be professional. And you got to remember, you guys are representing people. So I have the fortune of knowing that perspective, because I have my own brand, right? So I try to hold myself to that same standard.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, I understand the perspective. Like, you just can't be reckless and careless,
Sure.
and thoughtless.
Because you could be influencing that kid that sees you at a Fred Hall show.
That's
It's
right.
Wow. If you're walking up and down the hall all not right.
And we've seen plenty of those guys.
Absolutely, and they're the worst representative for these kids. Because I always look at, I'm influenced. Well, I have two young boys, and so they're my conscience right off the bat. I need to be a certain way for those two kids.
Okay.
But when I go to these shows, it's like, okay, well, there's that 10-year-old kid that's like, hey man, that and I'm like, okay, I have an obligation to those kids to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And that's just the way it is. Because I don't want to be that guy that, as we've seen at these shows, who's a complete a-hole.
Man.
Walking around stumbling drunk, whatever.
Can you guys just not be creepy old bastards when like a semi-decent looking chick walks by? Like, you're not making it easier for the ones of us that actually have a shot.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, you're just...
Fishing industry.
You're making bad casts on top of these fish, and it's making it harder for me to present my bait. Like, just stop. Do the world a favor.
Yeah.
But gosh, we're already another 50 minutes in without talking about big baits, thick lines, heavy weights, man.
Oh.
So we're going to wrap this up again. Oliver and I, Conway, Bowman, Jako. Okay, follow everybody. Leave a comment below. Do you guys find value in our discussion, our deep dive into the world of social media?
Yeah, we've been dark. We're gonna go much lighter on the big baits.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a little bit more fun, and we're gonna go back to the really epic moments on the next episode. So make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, download the podcast, check out Bowman's podcast.
Conway Bowman at Instagram, and it's the Southern California podcast on the Barbless Network.
That's what's up. Shout out to Shad and Nick.
That's right.
Cheers.
Yeah, my man.
You can have a look at Capjack Productions, the website capjackproductions.com, or at Capjack Productions on Instagram. Should find some cool stuff there.
And if you guys want to see me collaborate with these guys in San Diego,
let's do it.
Back in
Something
Austin,
crazy.
Hopefully in the Maldives or some other.
We're going crappie fishing.
Let's go
on
crazy.
Lake
Yes,
Hodges.
or crappie fishing on
Let's go
Hodges.
crazy.
let us know below. We hope you guys found some valuable insight, even though there's only 3 of you guys watching. You guys are 3 of the right people, right? Quality over quantity, man.
You know it, baby.
Exactly.
Appreciate
That's what
you
it's all
guys.
about.
This is Oliver and I with the Big Bass Genius Podcast. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Cheers.
You guys need another break?
That's awesome.
Now, do you guys want to go again? Because it's getting late. Okay, this is real.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
We can try to squeeze that one in tomorrow.
Let's do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm pretty tired.
Just to talk a little bit more clear, I don't want to miss anything because this is
No, totally.
yeah.
It's just so, dude, we can go forever.
That's the problem. Is it's like I really thought we were gonna get there, and it's like another
Okay,
hour
tomorrow
later.
we're gonna focus on that.
Yeah.
What time do you leave tomorrow?
See, I leave at 4 p.m.
So we'll do
Here or at the airport?
I gotta leave here to be at the airport. So I leave
So
here.
right after our session fishing.
Yeah.
Well, not the fishing, because I mean.
Oh, right after our exercise.
Let's do a quick, because we can knock that out pretty fast.
Yeah, we can come back in here.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah.
Because I think
45
we're
to
gonna
an
fish
hour.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah, I definitely.
That real deal, raw uncut. Still chasing PBs, cause it's never enough. I drag fish to make a catch fish. Get him in the net quick, cash for another step. That real deal, raw uncut. Still chasing PBs, cause it's never enough. Medium light, graphite for the subtlest bites. Some bright blue skies, not a cloud in sight. It's dynamite when I drop, and the school ignites. Pinning them down on the hop, cause he's taking off flight. I'm using all of my might, securely taming the fight. No fright, despite my Palomar is tight.